Hello and welcome to Reconnecting with Yourself. So, the intention with this workshop is to help you reconnect with yourself, not to fix yourself, because the idea that you need fixing kind of implies that something's wrong with you. And I truly believe that you are definitely not broken. Healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about understanding yourself, growing, learning, and then choosing to respond to things differently and choosing to show up differently. What I've come to understand is that self-love isn't just about feeling better. It's about learning who you truly are. So, here's one truth. You don't need to know where everything came from in order to fix it. A lot of us get stuck in the whys, and I think healing really comes from what do we do now? How do we move forward? How can we show up differently? How can we be better? So, my second truth I'd like to share with you is that it is so important to get back in touch with your body. So most of us live in our head, we overthink, and we feel really disconnected from our bodies. And our bodies are sending us information all the time. When you are disconnected from body, you are often very disconnected from yourself. So here is a question. What is something you know right now to be true in your heart, but you currently don't live it? I'm going to give you a few examples of the things that I know were to be true at a time that I wasn't currently living, and also things that I've noticed when I work with clients. So staying in relationships that you know are not healthy for you, accepting behavior that doesn't feel good to you, or constantly telling yourself that, oh, it's fine, I'm okay, when deep down you know that is not the truth. Wanting more, but settling for less, and shrinking yourself in order to make others around you feel more comfortable. So these might seem like really small things, but this is where we slowly start to disconnect from ourselves. So where these gaps are, this is the parts that we know to be true, but we're currently not embodying them and living them. We're not living our truth. And the really important part of, rediscovering and reconnecting with yourself is first creating awareness, and then from that awareness, creating little moments of change in order to embody the truth. Every time you override what is true to you, you move further and further away from yourself. And this is where self-trust breaks down. It is usually small little self-betrayals that we continue to have happen to us over and over and over again. So everything starts with you. Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for all other relationships in your life, and your standards teach people how to treat you. But the thing is, most of us don't have the language or the understanding and the awareness about ourselves to be able to express ourselves and communicate the things that are important to us. So knowledge is power. So when you don't value yourself, you often tolerate what doesn't align for you. And when you do value yourself, your life really starts to reflect that. So the question is, how do you build a strong sense of self? One of the easiest places for you to start is understanding your core values. So this is exactly what we are going to go through together today. If you would like to follow along, I've created a workbook. You can download it in the link below. If you don't have the workbook right now, that's completely okay. You can just listen along, reflect on some of the questions, and even jot down anything that might come up for you. So let's get started. I have the workbooklet here. So let's get started. I'm going to invite you to think about what truly matters to you. So what you might be craving more right now in your life. I want you to think about what feels important in the way that you live and show up in your life right now, and what are the things that you value in people closest to you. If you have the workbooklet, you can go through and circle the values that really stand out to you. If you don't have it in front of you, just take a moment to think about what are some of the things that come up for you. I'm just going to give you a few examples of what this can look like by talking about my personal core values. My values are growth, inner peace, connection, creativity. So what does this look like in my life? For me, growth isn't about consistently pushing and doing more in my life. Growth to me is being able to willingly look at my life honestly and with understanding and compassion. It's about learning about why I do the things that I do, why I react the way that I react to certain situations or people, and why certain patterns keep showing up for me in my life. Growth for me looks like self-reflection, self-awareness, and then having the courage to shift things in my life and making different choices and responding to things differently, even when it feels uncomfortable. Another really important value for me is creativity. So creativity is all about how I express myself. It's how I like to process things. It's how I connect back to myself. So whether it's through art, playing music, creating content, or just having the space to think and reflect, I know that when I'm not allowing creativity in my life, I feel really disconnected from myself. When I'm creating, I feel fully myself. When I'm creating where, time goes really quickly, when you're in flow. So when you think about your values, think about when you have moments when you feel like you're in that flow state, or when you're doing something and time goes super quickly. Another example of a value for me is connection, and it's a really big one for me. And I'm not talking about the surface level connection. I'm talking about real, deep, meaningful connection where I can be myself, where I feel seen and heard, and where I feel understood, and when I can do that for someone else. So that really influences the relationships that I choose to engage in, the conversations that I have with people, and the spaces and the environments that I put myself in. I've learnt over many years now that I would rather have a few really deep, genuine connections than lots of surface level ones where I don't fully feel like I can be safe to be myself. Another super, super, super important value for me is inner peace. So for me, that means that I am so mindful of what I'm allowing into my life and where am I putting my energy. The environments that I'm in, the relationships that I choose, and even the thoughts that I give my energy to. If something feels chaotic or draining or really heavy to me, that's usually a sign that something isn't aligned. I've learned is that values are really individual. They are yours. And it is your responsibility to honour them. And I can't expect other people to just automatically meet them and understand them. I have to be the one that understands my own values and then sets the standard when I'm interacting with other people. Things feel chaotic. So if things feel chaotic or draining to me, it's about asking, where am I not honouring what I need, and where am I not honouring what I personally value? Because as an example with inner peace, like no one can create inner peace for you. That's an inside job. It's my responsibility. It's something that I have to do. It's something that I build every day by the choices that I make. So your values might be very different, but the same principle applies. They are your values, and you get to choose how you show up and honour them in your own personal life. When I look at my values, growth, inner peace, creativity, and connection, they really shape how I live, how I show up, the choices that I make, and what I allow into my world. The next part is where we get really honest. So if you have the workbook in front of you, you'll see there's a section about living your values and what it looks like, and also where you might be not living them. This is a really powerful question for you to reflect on when it comes to your personal values. So where in your life do you know something isn't aligned, but you still keep choosing it? It might be a relationship. It might be something that you're tolerating. It might be a conversation that you know you need to have, but you are avoiding it. When asking yourself this question, just notice what comes up. We're not trying to fix it right now in this moment. We're just noticing without judgment what comes up for you when you ask yourself, where in your life do you know something that isn't aligned, but you keep choosing it? I'm going to give you some examples to help you. You might say that you value honesty. So honesty might look like speaking up when something doesn't feel right, expressing how you really feel, being truthful in your communications with others, even when it's uncomfortable. But when you reflect, you might look at your life honestly, and you might notice that you are avoiding some conversations with some people. You might notice that you're holding things in when you really wanted to say something. You might be finding yourself constantly saying you're fine, but the honest truth is you're really not. So even though you say you value honesty, you might not actually be living it in your everyday life. This is something we all do. I know that I've done it, especially when you are avoiding conflict, or you are a really big peacekeeper, or you are a massive people pleaser and you really don't want to upset anyone. I just want to remind you that in these moments, it may feel safer for you to stay quiet. And maybe that's the honest truth. But every time you do that, every time you quiet your voice and your honesty and what you value, it moves you further and further away from yourself. This is where your self-trust begins to break down. And this is why we often feel disconnected from ourselves. So just notice for yourself, where might you be saying you value something, but you're not fully living it yet? Your values aren't just what you say. They are how you consistently show up in your life. They shape your choices. They guide your behavior. They are like your inner compass. They are something that you can come back to. You can ask yourself, am I valuing honesty right now? Am I really giving time to my creativity? Am I valuing my peace and my inner peace that I am trying to create in my world? Like, you get to be the person who decides when it comes to your personal values. If you were really being honest with yourself, are you living in alignment with what matters to you right now? Or are there areas in your life where you feel you are overriding yourself? So if you've got the booklet, this is the personal values reflection section. And there are two really important questions that I would love for you to sit with right now. So the first one is, when your values were crossed or challenged by others, did you speak up? Now, if you found that you have answered no here, I want you to get curious around what stopped you. Was it fear of conflict? Was it fear of rejection or being abandoned? Was it you not wanting to upset someone and therefore being afraid of losing the connection with that person? Or is it because you just want to keep the peace? So when you keep the peace, you're keeping the peace outside yourself, but it often creates the chaos within. Because there's always a reason, and it usually makes sense at the time. And if you can sit and reflect and, ask yourself, hey, what stopped me? Why did I not speak up and say, hey, this is something that I really value and it's really important? So the second question is, do you minimize, justify, or override your values in order to keep or maintain connections with others? So this can look like telling yourself something's not a big deal, or just saying that you'll let it go, or everything's fine, even when inside of you, it doesn't feel right. And again, I want you to be so kind to yourself and really don't judge yourself. I just want you to become aware of where you might be overriding yourself when it comes to the things that are really important to you. Because again, every time you do that, it moves you further and further away from yourself. And like, this is the part where self-trust begins to break down, and when we start betraying ourselves. And when we do this constantly, it hurts. It really, really hurts. But the moment that you're able to become aware of it is the moment that you can start choosing differently. Yay! Let's spend a little bit of time now reflecting on your values. So let's spend a little bit of time reflecting on the values that you've chosen. And I want you to ask yourself, is this who you truly are? Or is it someone you feel you should be? The sneaky thing is, sometimes the things that we think we value weren't something that we actually chose. It's not ours. So it's what we've been taught or programmed to believe are important to value. And sometimes it's what is expected of us, or who we think we should be in order to be loved, accepted, or to belong. Ask yourself, are these values something that you currently embody right now in your life, or is it something that you really aspire to, and you're not really consistently honoring and practicing these values in your life right now? If you found that not all your values is something that you fully embody yet, that is not a problem. this is a beautiful place to be. That is what awareness is. And I think the key here is a lot of people don't lack awareness. They lack safety to be able to feel their true, authentic self. So I'm going to say that again. A lot of people don't lack awareness. They lack safety to live and be their authentic self. Okay, now you're going to think about one small, honest, intentional shift that you can make over the next few weeks to start coming back in alignment with yourself and to start honoring yourself and the things that are important to you. So I don't want you to feel like you need to make this huge. The key here is that we want to build self-trust, and it's all about making one small, honest choice and then keeping that promise to yourself. That's what builds self-trust. It's showing up for yourself and saying, hey, I've made this promise to myself and I am going to show up for it. I'm going to value it because I value myself. If you've got your workbooks in front of you, the final section, and these are some really powerful questions that I would love for you to sit with. So the first one is, what is one value or values that you most want to honor in your life right now? So normally with your values, I normally say 10 is a good start, and then you can kind of narrow it down to about 5. I really want to point out that your personal values change as much as the seasons can. So I like to kind of come back and do a bit of a values reflection every 12 months. Also, reflecting on your values when you are going through a big change or there is something happening in your life, it is really helpful to go through your values and find the things that matter to you right now, because again, it's like a compass. It helps you come back to yourself. It helps you to choose, how to show up. It's about, your behaviors, and are your behaviors reflecting your values? Are your choices reflecting your values? Are the people you have in your life and you're surrounding yourself with, are all of these things reflected in your values? Another really beautiful question is, I'm no longer willing to abandon myself in order to feel accepted, avoid conflict, or keep the peace. Instead, I choose, and you fill in the blank. But remember, every time you show up and choose yourself, you are building self-trust. And that is where real alignment begins. And if you are currently feeling a little lost and a little disconnected from yourself, it's often, like you lose trust within yourself. And if you want to connect with your intuition and your body, you need to start trusting yourself. And it's really important to remember that, making that small intentional promise to yourself, showing up for yourself consistently, saying, hey, I've said I'm going to do 10 minutes of meditation every day for the next 30 days. You've made that promise to yourself. And every time you show up and do that for yourself, it's showing, giving you the evidence that you are important and that you are valued and that you do love you. So making those little promises to yourself, it's so important when you feel disconnected from who you are. I just want to remind you that what you have done today is so powerful, because most people don't spend the time to really stop and look at this stuff and ask themselves, like, what is important to me? what do I currently value? This is just the beginning, because awareness obviously is one thing, but living it is where your life will change. So that's what I do. I help people build a strong sense of self so that they can actually live in alignment and do the things that matter to them. If you feel the call to go a little deeper, I offer one-on-one sessions. You can reach out or you can book through my link below. And before I go, I just want to really take a moment to acknowledge you and yourself right now, because showing up like this and doing this work, getting to know yourself, asking yourself the questions and sitting with the answers and showing yourself understanding and kindness and compassion. Like, this is the magic. This is where learning your values and coming back to them and reflecting on them, it literally will change your life, especially if you've just been through a breakup, a divorce, a health scare, changing jobs. Like, this stuff really helps you come back to yourself, and it is so important. Thank you all for being here, and I hope that you have found this super helpful. Please like, comment, and share. Sending you all so much love and light. Until next time.